In the world of virtual reality, most games aim for realism. Slick graphics, cutting-edge mechanics, and lifelike interactions have been the standard for years. But sometimes, a game doesn't need to look perfect to feel perfect. And sometimes, the simplest ideas leave the biggest impact. One such game, a game about gorillas tagging and a whole lot of swinging, took the VR world by storm, flipping the script on what a successful virtual reality game could look like. This is the story of how Gorilla Tag defied all expectations, challenged an entire industry, and redefined virtual reality gaming forever. In 2021, a tiny indie developer known as Another Axiom launched what appeared to be a very simple game. You were a gorilla and you move with your hands, and the objective, tag or be tagged. Sounds basic, right? But here's the catch. Gorilla Tag was one of the first games to fully embrace the physicality of virtual reality. No joystick, no teleportation, your arms were the only mode of movement. You had to physically swing your arms through the virtual world using nothing but your hands. It was exhausting, it was chaotic, and it was nothing like the polished, high-budget VR titles that had come before it. But it was fun. What started as a small niche experience quickly became a viral sensation, and it wasn't because of a flashy trailer, marketing campaign, or celebrity endorsement. It was because one thing: word of mouth. The game spread like wildfire on social media. Streamers on YouTube and Twitch jumped on the bandwagon, and soon everyone was talking about it. And when the game hit the Oculus store for free, it became even bigger. People were drawn to its pure simplicity. There were no complicated controls to learn, no overwhelming objectives or systems. You just jumped in and played. But what made it stick was the community. Players were forming friendships, rivalries, and some of the craziest moments VR had ever seen. From casual players to competitive communities, Gorilla Tag wasn't just a game. It was a phenomenon that connected people in ways other VR games hadn't. Before Gorilla Tag, VR was largely seen as a space for tech demos or ambitious simulations. Games tried to replicate reality or immerse players in high-fidelity worlds. And while many of these were impressive, they often came with a steep learning curve and expensive price tag. But Gorilla Tag reminded developers and players alike that virtual reality wasn't just about realism, it was about immersion. Sometimes the most immersive experiences aren't the ones that look the best, but the ones that make you feel like you're truly part of the game. And that was Gorilla Tag's secret sauce. It wasn't about photorealism, it was about intuitive physical gameplay that you couldn't replicate anywhere else. It was about bringing people together in a shared space where every movement mattered. Its impact on the industry didn't go unnoticed. Other developers took note, and soon we began to see a shift towards more movement-based social games in VR. The success of Gorilla Tag proved that you didn't need a multi-million-dollar budget to succeed in virtual reality. You just needed a clever idea and a lot of heart. But with every viral success comes its share of criticism, and Gorilla Tag was no exception. Despite the overwhelming love from its fanbase, the game has been far from perfect. As player count grew, so did the issues. One of the biggest complaints? The community. Many players, particularly newcomers, reported that Gorilla Tag's open voice chat enabled lobbies could be toxic and unwelcoming. The game's free-to-play model, while a strength, also meant that younger, sometimes rowdy players flooded the servers, creating a chaotic atmosphere that wasn't always friendly to casual or new players. Toxic behavior, harassment and trolling have become persistent problems, with players taking to forums and social media to voice their frustrations. The game's lack of extensive moderation tools left some feeling that Gorilla Tag was a breeding ground for negativity in the VR space. While the simple movement mechanics made Gorilla Tag fun and accessible, they also drew criticism for being overly simplistic and repetitive. But despite the criticisms, many still saw Gorilla Tag as a diamond in the rough. The issues were real, but for the players who stuck around, the game's core experience, wild, chaotic, and genuinely fun, made it worth it. Today, Gorilla Tag is more than just a game, it is an inspiration. Developers are building on its legacy, crafting experiences that emphasize creativity, social interaction, and physical engagement. But none of this would have been possible without the revolution that a single indie developer sparked with a simple idea: make players feel like gorillas. In the end, Gorilla Tag didn't just change VR gaming, it reminded everybody that sometimes the most impactful revolutions come from the least expected places. And as long as there are players swinging from tree to tree, we'll remember the game that started it all. Thanks for watching.